President Donald Trump has tweeted a new video taped after he returned to the White House in which he tells the American public not to be afraid of COVID-19, which has killed more than 200,000 people in the U.S. and more than a million worldwide. In a message that is sure to infuriate medical doctors trying to keep the country safe, Trump says he has learned so much about the virus that he contracted, and he also says, don't let it dominate, don't let it take over your lives. Joining us now from Simpsonville, South Carolina, is Dr. Tony Foster. Dr. Foster, this is everyone's conversation right now, the conversation about President Trump contracting COVID-19, whether or not this is real, whether or not it's a publicity stunt, the treatment, the medical treatment, the hospital, everything, all of this has been a topic of conversation. What has your response been?
I think, Nietzsche, we all have been so surprised on Friday morning when we heard that the president had been tested positive for COVID-19 and First Lady Melania Trump. And then he went to Walter Reed Medical Center for treatment. And he's been very upbeat. The doctors have given a positive report. On Sunday evening, he came out where there were many supporters at Walter Reed praying for him, standing with him. And even on the other side of the aisle with the Democrats, there's been great encouragement from a lot of them saying that they want the president to be better. And he went back to the White House just yesterday.
Dr. Foster, what I see on social media is very unique. Many have conversations about him receiving an experimental drug. Share your thoughts on whether or not what you feel about this being readily available to the public, your thoughts on if this is indeed true or not.
My response is this is the leader of the free world. This is our president, and we want to make sure that he's okay. And as far as these experimental drugs, I think the president has assured the American people that these drugs will be on the market soon. There's coming a vaccine. But I think it's very important for us to understand that we need the president to lead. We need him to be healthy. And I think that's very important. I think that brought a lot of calm to the American people who are very, very concerned about him.
I'm not sure if everyone would agree with you there, Dr. Foster, but share your thoughts on this same level of treatment being available to the general public, those who are currently suffering with COVID-19.
I think that's what they're doing, Nietzsche. I think what they're doing is they're trying to find a good way to get this medication out to the American people. I think Donald Trump has been working hard from the beginning, at the beginning of this whole pandemic, to make sure the American people had the resources and everything that they needed. And so I think as we are patient and as we're waiting, we will see this vaccine get out to the people and the medications.
Dr. Foster, we talked about at the beginning of this conversation about the number of people that have been affected by COVID-19, those who have passed away. President Trump still traveling, holding events before he got sick. And the conversations about when he was deemed ill or when he did not test or when he did test. Do you feel that anyone was put in harm's way by any of his actions?
Honestly, Nietzsche, I do not. Only because of this. I believe the president said this very well. He says, we have to live our life. We cannot let this virus dominate us. And he was very empathetic to the point we need to be very careful. We need to be watchful. He has not said you shouldn't wear a mask. But I think by the president going to the rallies, the president being in front without a mask, I think he was saying to the American people, we have to move on. And those ones who have been, susceptible to this disease, I think he's been very, very careful with that. For a matter of fact, there was a funeral of a woman whose husband died, and her son was about 12 feet away from her at the funeral. And when he got ready to approach her because she was so sad, the funeral director stopped him and said you couldn't get close to her. I think what the president is trying to say is we've got to not let this virus dominate our lives. We got to move forward and be protective. And he's been very empathetic to the ones who have contracted the disease and died.
Definitely a very interesting conversation with you today, Dr. Foster. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Nishi.